Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Jackie, for sharing the video. Happy Friday, everybody. This is panel debate night. Well, more like a panel discussion, right? Yes. So, guys, please hit the like button. Please share. And another RIP to Charlie Kirk. He passed away on September the 10th. And that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. But we're going to be talking about, some of the things that he said about Black America and kind of debunking Charlie Kirk's data on Black Americans, right? Was Charlie Kirk's data on Black Americans really accurate? I'm going to say no. So I do have my panel. So yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys here. Please like, please share, please subscribe, hit the bell button. If you would like to donate, you could do it via super chat. I did set up a goal. You can support that way as well, or Cash App $ Dana with the data. And before I bring in my panel, let me read a quick bio on Charlie Kirk. He is I'm gonna say is because I'm not going to start off talking about people of the past, because he's going to be present in a lot of people's lives who were his friends, his family, and his supporters. So Charlie Kirk is an American conservative political activist, author, media personality who founded Turning Point USA in 2012 at the age of 18, building it into one of the largest conservative student organizations in the United States. Born in 1993, Kirk has become a prominent voice in conservative politics, particularly focused on engaging young Americans through campus activism, educational initiatives, and media outreach. He hosted the Charlie Kirk Show, a popular conservative podcast and radio program, and has authored several books, including The MAGA Doctrine and Campus Battlefield. Kirk is known for his strong support of President Donald Trump and conservative principles, frequently speaking at political events, universities, and conferences across the country. Through TPS USA, he has organized numerous campus events, leadership summits, and voter registration drives, positioning himself as a key figure in conservative movements, efforts to influence young generations and counter what he views as liberal bias in higher education. And if you notice, you see a lot of videos of him on college campuses debating, engaging with the college students. And people don't understand when, he built his organization on focusing on the youth, on young people, because young people are our future, right? They're going to be the ones shaping this country when we're old. And he had his pulse on a large group of young people to actually, take on his ideology, become conservative, become registered voters. So he had a lot of influence. Yes, he did, amongst his group and people who follow him. Sadly, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th, 2025 in Utah by alleged Tyler Robinson. He was arrested. I believe it was today they arrested him. And he leaves behind 2 children and a wife. And she did give her she spoke for the first time today. We're not going to be playing that because our focus is Black American data and politics. But yeah, prayers to his family, and also prayers to the victims in Gaza and throughout the world, people who are suffering and who may have lost a loved one recently. So let's bring on the panel. Kellie, hi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Briefly introduce yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Kellie Corinne. Y'all can find me here on YouTube or on TikTok at Kellie Corinne Show. I am a conservative pundit, media personality. I talk about a lot of different things on my channel, and I'm also on a morning show. It's called the DPMO Morning Show, Don't Piss Me Off Morning Show, with me, Black_TV, and Talks with 2K. So we have a lot of fun over there, and we go live about noon Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. So
Cool.
I
All
am
right.
a conservative, so I'm happy to be here, Dana. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Drop your link in the chat, and if you can, I'll make you a moderator anyway. And and I am going to put your link and everybody else social media links in the description and in the comment section as well.
Okay.
All right, so let's bring on Devine. Hi.
How you doing? Can you hear it okay?
Yeah, the audio is good.
Oh, perfect. Because sometimes my audio be a little janky. My name is Devine Prince. I'm the current president of the U.S. Freedmen Project. We're a nonpartisan organization looking to resurrect the abandoned and sabotaged missions of the Freedmen's Bank and the Freedmen's Bureau. We educate and advocate specifically for those families that had ancestors that was enslaved and emancipated in the U.S. We heavily deal with the data dealing with this demographic, the same demographic that Charles Kirk looked to denigrate whenever he went out there. So this will be a great discussion. I'm looking forward to talking about some of his talking points and bringing more clarity and context to him.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming here, Devine, because I know you're busy. What is this? There we go. Consuelo, hi, how are you?
Good evening, Dana, and to the panel, Corinne and Devine. Yes, I am interested in this conversation, but I am Consuelo Davis. I'm the director of Freedmen Descendants Advocacy Group, and basically I'm advocating for Freedmen descendants in politics, social areas, mental health, all of that. So I'm happy to be here so we can debunk some of the things that have been said by Charlie Kirk.
Okay. And our last person to complete the panel, George from Street Media TV. Hi. George. Where you at? I can't hear you, George. George coming in here, honey, and not prepared. All right, I can't, George, what's going on? Because I can't hear you. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't know. Let me text him. What's going on with your audio? Can't hear you. All right, I sent George a text. Let me put him backstage for a second. All right, so we are going to start off. I want to play this video of Charlie Kirk and his stance on reparations. It's a 10-minute video, but I'm gonna play the first 4 minutes to let us discuss, and then play the rest, and we discuss it, and then we'll go on to absentee Black fathers, Black crime, civil rights movement. So, but I want to start off with reparations because I think that's more of a, hot topic. So let me share. And just FYI, this is not bash Charlie Kirk. We're just going to be debunking his talking points and data that he had on Black America. I don't think I want this one. Yeah, maybe like that. All right, here you go.
Receiving reparations. How do you feel about the Black community receiving reparations?
I'm against that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why so?
Well, first of all, what is the Black community? So, for example, do you mean like recent immigrants from Haiti or Nigeria?
I do not. No.
Okay, for sure. So you're meaning like ancestral descendants of slaves.
Correct.
That could be proven with documentation.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So to be consistent, do you believe that other groups that have been mistreated in America should also receive reparations?
What are those other groups?
Well, they're not necessarily by America, but let's just take one. Jewish Americans, right?
Okay.
They almost got eliminated in the Holocaust. Should they receive reparations?
Not from us.
Okay, not from us.
Not from the United States, that is.
Okay. So here's my view, and I want to hear yours,
okay,
which is that I did not own slaves, and you were not a slave.
Correct.
Right. So we are individuals, and therefore we cannot be held accountable or should receive something from something that didn't happen to us or something we did not do. That is a basic law of justice, that I can't be held accountable for something that somebody looked like me did, and you should not benefit from something that somebody you were related to. Now, you would probably say systemic racism and how that passed down through generations. Happy to address that. The problem with reparations, though, is basically what you're saying is, I'm going to take money from Charlie Kirk for something he didn't do and give it to a group of something, to somebody of something they also didn't do. For what reason? How is that just?
So not so much how is it just, but there are those arguments that says because of what happened in the past, this group of people have been negatively affected from this nation's crimes against humanity to that certain group of people. And that's how we see it, or how some people see it, if you will.
Okay, sure. But I will say that even if there is some truth to that, which I wouldn't even be willing to grant very much, because Black America was doing incredibly well before the not incredible. They were pacing to be even richer than white America. Is that we must look through the question of, is it just and moral to take from one group, especially first and second generation immigrants that had nothing to do with this? So think about it. Your tax base would be taxing, like, if anyone here is Irish or Polish and your family came 100 years ago, we would be taxing people that had nothing to do with it. And I'll go a step further. My family fought on the Union side of the Civil War, right? So you're going to be taxing Charlie Kirk, whose descendants fought to free the slaves, to go give money to people that were descended, from slaves. So what is a way that we could try to help all communities? Here's maybe we can find some common ground, right? Instead of reparations.
Sure.
Is that we need to break the cartel of public sector teacher unions, allow school choice to occur, and make it easier for people of all backgrounds, but specifically Hispanic and Black individuals and young kids, to have a quality education, because a good education in K through 12 is one of the most assured ways that they'll be able to succeed later in life. Secondly, we need to put fathers back in the home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And 70% of Black kids are raised without a stable father in the country. So if we can find common ground on that, I think that would go a lot further than just giving cash for people that happen to be related to something evil that happened a little while ago.
What's going on, man? Doing all right. Welcome to Knoxville.
All right, let me I just muted people so that and myself. All right. So hi, George. Oh, your computer is freezing up.
Yeah, I'm good now. Yeah, it was. I was trying to come in and it was frozen.
Okay. I don't know. You know what? Maybe next time use your cell phone, because that may be better.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. So who wants to tackle it first? So far, this is halfway through him talking on a college campus about his stance on reparations, why we should not get it.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
So this is what always irritates me when they do this argument. It's not an individual person that's paying for reparations. It would be the United States government, because the United States government, benefited from reparations. And correct me if I'm wrong, Devine, but reparations, yes, I'm not a slave. You were not a slave, Dana, but there were still things, medical, people, Black Americans, still suffer from certain medical ailments due to slavery. And then they always leave out the Reconstruction period. They leave out the redlining. They leave out all the other things. Our money being stole from the Freedmen Bank. There were all these other things that kept knocking Black people back. And yes, I know what he's talking about, as far as at one point Black people were the fastest growing racial group. I want to say it was between 1940 or to 1960, Black men had quadrupled their household income, while white men had only doubled their household income. But again, the government came in and did things to keep knocking Black people down. But Charlie Kirk was a smart man, so I just think they just always leave out these nuance, the nuance of the discussion. And I don't know why he's even bringing up, the Holocaust, or anything to do with America. So why would I don't know why they even always go there, talking about just recently, and I'm going to land my plane, but just recently there were some people in Arizona that received $100,000. They were called downwinders. They received reparations due to radiation. And I saw this woman on the show, on the news, saying, my grandson, he's been sick, Well, who's to say your grandson was sick from something that happened 80 years ago? Who's to say that that's what it is? But with Black people, it's, it was so long ago. I mean, this whole thing with the downwinders, they got $100,000 for something, again, 80 years ago. That's all.
Devine, just you mute yourself when you're not talking, and I'll mute when you are talking because I don't want to do it because it's like something with the audio coming out. Anybody want to comment on what he said so far before I play the second part of it?
But I'll say something at the second part.
Oh, you're gonna wait till the second part?
Yeah.
You want to say something now, Devine? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure do. I just want to piggyback on what the sister just said. She was cooking, so there's not much I need to add, except for this. What we have to understand is that when Charlie Kirk started his organization, Turning Point USA, he was 18 years old. So it makes sense for an 18-year-old to be going onto college campuses debating other 18 through 24-year-olds. Near the tail end, before he met his demise, you're talking about a late 20-year-old to a 30-year-old still going on college campuses debating 18 to 24-year-olds. And so what you get is this disingenuous argument where, like the sister says, he's very intelligent. And so what you have is someone that's intelligent enough to make disingenuous arguments, hoping that his target audience doesn't know. And so when you say the things that he said, he's hoping that you don't know. And as we can hear from the brother, and there's no shade to that brother, regardless of however old he is, because he does look older. But what I find with a lot of these conversations, because of the setting and because of the location he's going to debate these people, they are inadequately under they just don't have the skill set. They don't have the language. They don't have the lived experience of advocating for reparations to combat his easily debunkable and refutable facts, quote unquote facts that he's presenting. And the one I just want to say is this, like this is very important. One and two things, and I'll land here before we play the second half because I can expound based on what the second person says. First thing is this: it is not an individual issue. So it's not about taking money from Charlie Kirk or anybody else that's white or any other non-Black American ethnic group or racial group and giving it to Black Americans, those of us who had ancestors that was enslaved and emancipated. That's one. And that's a disingenuous talking point. Two, when you immigrate, because he brought up this, that's another talking point they love. Well, I wasn't here, so we didn't own any slaves. Because it's against the U.S. government. When you immigrate into a country, you get to reap all the benefits and rewards for what that country has established long before you got here. In the same way, you inherit the debt and the justice claims that that country owes long before you got here. And I'll end it.
All right, so I'm going to finish playing the rest of it.
I'm up here for one purpose. My buddy is a friend of yours. He lives up in White Pine, and he wants me to have this discussion with you because me and him had this discussion this weekend. What are your thoughts about reparations for Black people specifically, and like Black Americans specifically? What is your
very much against?
Very much against. Can I ask why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't believe that we should ever pay monetary damages to people where nothing bad happened to them, just because they are related to a group of people where something bad happened to them.
Okay, so
because it separates the idea. Let me just finish, and then I'll throw it back to you. Absolutely. Our justice system, when properly understood, is about individuals receiving justice, not tribes or groups receiving justice.
Okay. Also, I want to state that just because I am a Black man, I do not speak for all Black people. So I'm just
I like this guy. You should give it up for him.
Just want to state that for the record. I'm speaking for myself. All right. So definitely hear you on that. And even for me, when it comes to reparations, for me personally, I don't believe that it should be a check. I think that reparations can look like many different things, whether it's like investment in institutions, more like, better schools, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is like, so since you are against reparations, would you say that we should be would you be for outlawing inherited wealth? Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not for outlawing that. And those are two different things.
Can I explain my point though? All right, so my point to that is that so what I hear for the argument against reparations is that Black people today, obviously we weren't there, for slavery, segregation, all that kind of stuff. So we've done nothing to deserve that, because all the people who should have gotten it, actually not even probably, who should have gotten it, are either long gone or whatever. Now there's still some who are still with us today, but that's a conversation for another day. But my point is that so inheritance and inherited wealth is something that the great grandfather, whatever, is passed down. Homeboy who is here today did nothing to deserve that multi-billion-dollar business, but he gets it because of his bloodline. Correct? Is that how it?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
how inheritance works, right?
Yeah, no, like Bronny James is going to get $1 billion.
Right. Yeah.
You're
Oh, I mean, yeah. Sorry. Great example. So what I'm saying is that like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like, I believe that reparations in and of itself, one, I don't think that the argument is formed right, and two, I believe that it's kind of a reverse inheritance, if that makes sense, where it's like where it's like yes, black people, like me personally, yes, I did not have to suffer through Jim Crow, slavery, or whatever, but all those choices that were made in those times have like gotten necessarily me to where I'm at now.
Got it. So let me tell you where we have a difference of opinion.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So we as conservatives tend to underemphasize this idea of many legacies of suffering. Whereas people on the left, not saying you're on the left, but the other perspective.
Definitely not.
No, for sure. But that's fine. That's fine. Let's just say the other side of the argument tend to emphasize that you are stuck because of something that happened to you many generations prior. We believe, absent very unique circumstances in the United States of America, that is almost never true. For example, we think every individual should be judged by their own actions, their own character, and their agency. Now, let's play this out, though. You're acting as if, not you, but let's say the argument, because you're coming after this in a great way, there's been like no money sent Black America the last 60 years. We have spent over $25 trillion on Black America in 60 years, and Black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing. The issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the Black family. And unfortunately,
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the Black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. Black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally, it's like, how do you prove it? Prove it. Like, this is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden Black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Like, let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on. That we should have a opportunity colorblind compact. We need to have school choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the Black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially Black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think that I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor.
I totally agree.
Okay, and so
I will say it plays far less of a factor 10 years ago. It's playing more of a factor today.
Yes, I agree.
In a negative way.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, I think you had mentioned something about DEI like earlier, and I was like, for sure, like the way I agree with DEI in principle, but I think the way it's been instituted by our government and all the other institutions is completely wrong. So, because for me, it's not about seeing color; it's how you treat color. Does that make sense?
Everyone's going to see color. And
exactly,
you're right.
Yeah,
and so it's an ideal that is admirable, being colorblind.
Right.
The problem with what we were promised with the Civil Rights Act, we were promised a colorblind society. We now have a color-obsessed society. And it's a breakdown of that promise. Instead, the country I grew up in, at least, was like, yeah, you're Black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person?
How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens.
So,
oh God, this guy. If you ever watch him, he's never talking to any like black intellectuals or people that can really talk to him and break things down. He's talking to young people who don't have a lot of life experiences and don't understand history. Because even when he talk about the reparations talk, you could just bring up the New Deal and how whites benefited from 1933 to 39, and how we had to get executive orders on the books just for us to get our GI bills from the military, to even get loans, to get homes, to acquire wealth through home ownership. So there's a lot of factors that come into play from the 30s all the way up to 1961 when Kennedy signed the affirmative action bill. There's a lot of things that he leaves out in that time because the discriminatory practices, we wasn't allowed to get in. This is why you had the civil rights movement, and before the civil rights movement, you had so many executive orders that's put on federally put on the books for us that state law wasn't enforcing. From the military to housing to everything. So when they enacted the New Deal, that benefited whites. That was reparations for whites right before World War II, and then after World War II, they started the Levin family. They started building suburbs. Right, and they started allocating funds and cheap loans for whites to get homes inside these suburbs. They wasn't giving all those things to us. We had lawsuits because we couldn't even get proper insurance to acquire wealth. They was only giving blacks burial insurance. So when he says the things that he says, it makes absolutely no sense to a person that understands their history. But he's talking to young people that don't know how to answer him back. It seems like he's the smartest person in the room, but he's not. So when you look at affirmative action that was signed in 1961, and then it morphed over time with different policies into a DEI, right? But just think about this. I want all of us to think about this for a minute. If we know that they had discriminatory practices, and there are federal laws on the books that was enacted to help us get into play because of discriminatory practices, right? And we know under the Civil Rights Act of 57, we're supposed to have equal protection under the law, meaning our image too, because our image was tarnished by white America and their media, which they still do now. How is it that Charlie Kirk can come and make the speeches that he makes about Black America when we have federal laws on the books that's supposed to protect us from certain things that actually happen to us? How is that not a direct civil rights violation? And where does the Black leadership even speak to that? Because if I was discriminated against because of my skin, if my skin was my sin before I even opened my mouth, and we knew that they had discriminatory practices, and he's going back speaking against Dr. King, he's telling lies about laws that we can actually look up and see. How is that not a civil rights violation?
This is my issue with it. I agree with everything you said, but what stood out to me was the Black father's comment. Like, my Black father is married to my Black mother. They were in my life. All my friends had Black parents. He said, because I saw it was one whole clip. He said it was only 20% of Black kids have a Black father in the household. Now, let me be clear. Have Black families substantially been separated? Yes, but it's not no daggone 80%. And then another video or another clip, he said 70%. I looked it up. It's 47%. It's not only 20% of Black kids have their Black father in the house. And I just feel like I think you knew that, Charlie Kirk, because where did you get 20% from? Like, that's a big gap. And I'm not trying to pick on the man, but that's just a wild statement. Like, I don't know. I didn't like that.
Consuelo, can you hear? I can't hear you if you can hear us. I know she's having connection issues. Yeah, we can't hear you. So you may can hear us, but we can't hear you. Yeah, I think he also said, you know, because his side of the family, his family fought in the Civil War. Well, so did over 100,000 black men. That has nothing. That has nothing to do with, you know, reparations, because that's something that it has to be paid by the government. And this is what he never went to college, but but you could still be a smart person and not go to college. But what he is doing is going to colleges where he know, yeah, these kids are in colleges, but they're not really fully well read. So I'm going to give out skewed data with the numbers, and he's bringing out other skewed data, and I'll play the other clips, and going to emphasize the negative, you know, to explain, to make his point relevant.
And we can trace our lineage. I forgot to mention that. We can trace our lineage. Like I know my 4th grade grandmother was a slave. She was she actually was indigenous. Like we can, that's why our classification is freedmen. Like they always try to say, like, we can't prove our lineage. Like we can prove our lineage.
200,000 black men. Thank you, A2 Max, for that. Yeah. So yeah, so it was little things in there, you know, and he mentioned that the government already gave us millions of dollars, Medicaid, food stamps. And it's like, no, white people get more Medicaid and food stamps than we do. And that's for all Americans. That's not for a particular group. So I'm not surprised. It's scary that the young audience that is trying to challenge him, they don't know how to challenge him because they're not well informed on the data and facts.
Right. And just to piggyback on what you just said really quick too, like you have to understand like his role and what he was paid to do. Right. Like you just say, he was a college dropout and he got approached by the billionaires that was back in the Tea Party at the time. And during that time, you find that the biggest gripe on the right was how all of these white kids were going to these liberal institutions on college campuses and being indoctrinated. So he gets employed and deployed to indoctrinate them to the other side. And so that's why he comes with these stats that you don't really know if they're true or not. For the most part, he's talking to predominantly white crowds about black issues. So they don't know the stats. They don't want to know the stats, right? And even when there's a black person, like in these 2 cases, we don't know if they were Black American or, you know, Black American freedmen or whatever. But what he does, and it's an evil genius, right? And Kellie just said it. We all know that we want fathers in the home as a community. The 2 things that get left out are why they're not in the home. And on top of that, how we are still the most involved even when we're not in the home, because that stat is just for married couples, not couples that are still together co-parenting. So that's another nuance left out in that stat. But what he'll do is he'll throw it out and say, yeah, we need more black fathers in the home. And whether you're black, white, or other, you'll say, oh, I can't say I'm against fathers in the home. So once you agree with that, then he starts using the soul word, right? So if you agree that black should be in the house, that means you believe that this is also a major issue. What he also leaves out is that when he brings up the stat of when we did have more marriages intact, we still were being victims of white supremacy. We didn't have these huge, robust communities that just failed on their own. We had 2 parents in the home, and then state-sponsored white domestic terrorism was allowed to run us out of our communities. We're allowed to destroy them, burn them down to the ground, and or take the land free of charge with no restitution. And so just a segue to one of his other comments that needs to be totally debunked and thrown out is this notion that, oh, the justice system is about individuals getting justice and not any particular group. That's just a flat out lie. And it's also a lie that, oh, it only happens when it's for individuals, or in the rare cases it is for groups, that it's only for that direct harm group. That's also a lie. The Civil Liberties Acts in the 1980s, which gave reparations to the interned Japanese, because it was so long from so much time had passed since the World War II internment, they gave those monetary reparations to the interned individual or their living progeny. So that's just a lie. And so what happens is, again, he goes and he spews these right-wing talking points meant to indoctrinate the kids on these college campuses into his way of thinking. It was very effective. But the last thing I'll land on this is that the brother, he was close. He was real close when he was trying to make the argument of, well, since you're against reparations, you should be against inheritance. What he was talking about is that based on the same harm that was done and that built the wealth in this country, the slaveocracy, white families were allowed to pass down those ill-gotten gains. And those of us who had ancestors that was formerly enslaved passed down what we call accrued disadvantage. And so if you are Charlie Kirk and you say, hey, no, accrued disadvantage is not a thing and we should not have to remedy that, then at the same time, based on that same logic, if you're acting in good faith, then you have to say everything earned before you come into this world dies with that person that earned it. It should not be able to get passed down to you if we're just saying that anything that happened before you doesn't count and it's really not that important to your life and where you start from.
Hey, it was 1989 when they gave the money to the Japanese. It was 1989. They gave some reparations. They gave 1994, if I'm not mistaken. They gave like $2 million to the Rosewood survivors. They gave it was some reparations that was given in this country. 2013, you remember they had the Sterilization Act here in America. What they did in North Carolina and different places like that. They allocated some like $10 million in funds to them. But this reparations argument has been on the floor since Thaddeus Stephenson, all the way back to the 1800s, when we have this reparations argument. But in the Monahan report, the Negro family, the case for national action, it already wrote the systemic racism and what they were doing. And this goes back to what I was saying, all the way back to the New Deal, when they was allocating funds and things to whites and they wouldn't give them to us, right? All of this stuff goes into play. But again, how many of those young people going to come up there and bring up the New Deal? Or they going to bring up when the Carnegies and the Mellons and stuff was oppressing white people, right? And they had to have, what act was that, 1916? They stopped children from working in coal mines and stuff 16 hours a day because white people, they was oppressing the Irish and Polacks first, and they started to tear this country up. And they had the women's suffrage movement, right? So now they start rioting. They start doing these things. They start allocating funds to white folks, right? So white folks benefited from those things, but black people couldn't. So now when he talk about this single motherhood and all these things, they systematically did things to destroy and break up the family. And they knew how to do it because these inner cities that we live in Chicago, Detroit, who lived in them projects first? Who was there first? They were. The fathers went off to fight the wars, and we was promised jobs. So we moved from the South up to Detroit in the 40s and the 50s, right? Because we were promised jobs and we started to do well. But when the white people came back from World War II, there was riots in the streets. Those videos, they was beating our people up and killing us in these cities, right? So then the 11th family and stuff, they start allocating resources to build suburbs, and the first suburb was built by the 11th family, right? And they started allocating money. Again, we was kept out of those things. Now, did some black people creep through the cracks? Absolutely. But if you look at all those things during that time period from about 1933 to about 1960, when we went through hell. We went through hell. And this is what the Monahan report is talking about. So when you have these young people, how many of those young people you going to see even talk about the New Deal or talk about what America was doing to white folks and why they had to allocate funds for white folks, but not us? A lot of those kids are not smart enough to bring that kind of stuff up.
Right. They're not being taught about that in school, and they're not being taught about that at home. Real quick, Consuelo, can you hear me? All right. If you can hear us, we can't hear you. I don't know what is going on because your phone, the connection was working before we started. Maybe you're not at home where you're usually at. I don't know. So we can't hear you if you are talking. Just FYI. All right. I want to move on to
real quick on this clip specifically before we move on, is that what we cannot allow, what we will not allow, is for the same governmental entity that owes us the reparation to historically have delayed justice for our ancestors and then tell us it's too late now. Because that's the argument that he's essentially making. Oh, it would have been okay if it was then, but we were advocating then. And then we were advocating then. And then we were advocating then. And then we're advocating now. So you don't get to delay it for us purposely and then say, oh, you don't get to run out the clock and say, oh, the game's over. No, that's not how this is going to work. And so that is one of another bad faith conversations that he's having when he's saying, yeah, you know, it would have been okay if it was for them at that time. But that's almost putting the onus again on us saying, oh, we didn't do the right thing at that time to get justice, when that's also just a lie.
All right, so I want to move to the do me a favor, mute up for a second, Kelly, because we can hear that when you're typing in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's okay. Is crime high because that is absent, right? The Black fathers and crime correlation. And was okay, I'm going to play this clip, and then it's kind of going to segue into Black fathers and crime.
Talk about you. How did that impact you? How did something that happened 60?
Because they're not.
So,
oh, wait a minute. How do I want to set this up? Oh, yeah, this is better.
talk about you. How did that impact you? How did something that happened 60 years ago impact your life?
It impacts me all the time.
How?
What do you? Okay.
You're at Texas A&M. You're doing great.
Okay. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
So aren't you a living example that all that's a bunch of nonsense and you could just act good and behave well and succeed?
But there's also living examples of the exact opposite. If you look in the impoverished neighborhoods in certain parts of Chicago or St. Louis, there's Black communities being thrown aside because they're not getting education.
Thrown aside? Okay, yes, so I think we can get somewhere. Why have the Black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act? Tell me that.
Because of the way the culture has been perpetuated through the years.
Hold on. Think about it. So they were richer when we were segregated and more racist. America's become less racist. What
about Tulsa?
Yeah, no one's going to defend what happened in Tulsa again. But let's talk. We're talking about a lot of different cities. We're talking about Chicago, Tulsa. But let's again. This is a very important point. Do you think the fact that 70% of Black youth don't have a dad around is probably pretty important?
That's because of the culture.
So respectfully allow me to interject. How does the white culture impact the fact whether or not a Black dad stays around when he impregnates a woman?
I'm not saying it's the white culture.
What is it?
The culture that has been perpetuated through the 200 years of slavery, the 100 years of segregation, and Jim Crow laws.
The marriage, so I got to interject again. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt too much. But in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act, 20% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's, 20% were single fathers, 80% had a dad around. It's been inverted. So we actually have seen Black dads run away from their kids the last 60 years. Why is that?
Because of the raised incarceration rates, because of the perpetuated culture. So
how does one go to jail?
That's obvious. I'm not answering that question.
Yeah, so maybe it's because they committed crimes?
Okay, but when you're forced it's not just this is old, this is in the past, this doesn't affect you anymore.
So let me just say this. Because I do give the young man credit to where, what he was trying to convey. And basically, a lot of times to debunk Charlie Kirk and people like him is to simply say public policies were implemented to disenfranchise Black America. And if you constantly have different public policies in different decades and different centuries to constantly disenfranchise a particular group, you're going to see a high increase in incarceration because poor equals more crime. The more poor a community is, the higher the crime is going to be. That's just a fact. Mass incarceration, drugs. So this is all after the civil rights. So a lot of times, kids are not being taught public policies. I do commend him for actually coming up with the idea of going around to different college campuses. I do believe that Black Americans, I won't say leaders, but influencers such as ourselves, an organization needs to be created to do the same thing Charlie Kirk was doing so that we could start educating and educating the youth, particularly young Black youth. But I do have another clip to play, but anybody want to quickly comment on this one?
I do. And I know we're talking about Black people, but white fathers aren't in the household as much as they were 30, 40, 50 years ago. You know, Asian father, well, that group is the most, but I'm just saying, we know what it is with our community. I wonder what it is with the white community, why the fathers aren't there as much as they were 50 years ago.
Right. And I just want to keep reiterating this. Even in this clip, Charles Kirk is a grown ass man talking to someone that looked no older than 18, 19, maybe 20. Right? Like it's an unfair advantage, right? Because his talking points are already downloaded. They are already set in stone.
Well, let me push back a little bit with you, because if I was that guy at that age, I would have still destroyed Charlie Kirk, because he was only 31. He's the same age as my daughter. I'm old enough to be his mother. But if me at that young age, I knew that it was public policies that disenfranchised Black America.
And how many of you are there? How many of you did you know growing up?
That knew that?
Yeah. How many yous were there in your friend group? In your friend group alone?
Right. Well, you know what? Let me generalize it. I just think my generation knew it, but then I have to put the blame on my generation and baby boomers for not passing down that information or allowing the public schools to indoctrinate our kids with, lack of education.
And now let me give you a little bit of an excuse, right? Like, let me take up for you a little bit in your generation, because this is something that we've been looking at as an organization, and what we're looking to do during this, what we call American Freedmen Renaissance, right? Is what they've done in a lot of these campuses is that they've replaced Black American studies with Africana studies. And Pan-Africans told us that those were the same things. And what we're finding when we look at the curriculum is that it is a globalist, all-encompassing, melanated, but mostly focusing on Africa kind of educational curriculum. And so they don't talk about Reconstruction. They don't talk about, what our ancestors did here. For the most part, it'll be a footnote in that curriculum. And so that's another thing that the Charlie Kirks of the world know, right? And the people that pay him know is being taught on these campuses, so he can come in with these faulty ass stats, because your generation said, okay, you guys got to get this education, sent them off to school, and they changed the curriculum on us underneath our nose. And so they changed everything Black to African, and it took us away from all of this information and the stats that we should have at our disposal that would make us easily able to debunk a Charles Kirk and his ilk. But when you focus on African things of that nature, and then on top of that, we don't know where we're assuming that most of these students are Black American, but a number of them, especially on these college campuses, are Afro immigrants that have no idea, no lived experience, no connection to our story and legacy in this country, and then they're not learning it in school. And so those are the ones, to be perfectly honest, even when we look around Twitter, those are the ones that are more susceptible to look at a Charles Kirk and say, oh, he's telling the truth. Oh, that's what it is. It's really not racism. It is what he's saying. And that's why most of them are the ones that are crying and tone policing when people are calling him out for his racism and saying, no, how can you say he was racist? He just wanted to better the Black community. And that's because we're talking to a lot of people that have no connection to our history and our legacy in this country.
Let me play this next clip, because I like when this guy, he did bring up some facts here. He broke it down. No, it's not this one.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are Black.
Exactly.
So Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay,
Let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
About half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the U.S. government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates them? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the U.S., he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
So blacks
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments, something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations specifically. Black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
Black people are only 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why?
Because black people tend to be in lower economic statuses because of
Okay, no, this
CRT,
is fine. This is great.
Basically,
so you think that poverty equals crime?
I think that it's highly correlated, and there's a lot of studies
This is where
on
we
that.
disagree. What an insult to the working poor of
So
this
why
country.
do you think black people commit more
Well,
crime,
first
Charlie
of all,
Kirk?
so how? Let me ask you a question as
No,
my
answer
answer.
it. Go on.
What percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
I'm not sure.
20%.
So that's why you
80% of
think it
blacks
is.
do not have a stable father around. It is the most predictable way to end up in prison, end up as a murderer or a criminal.
And why
It's
do
not a
you think that's
racism
a problem?
It's not a white supremacy problem. It's a fact that black fathers impregnate women and they don't stay around with the women
And
that they have
why-
impregnated.
Charlie Kirk, do you think that happens more in the black community compared to others?
It's threefold. Number one, we subsidize single motherhood. Number two, it's culture. It's accepted in the black community, and it
so
shouldn't
it's
be.
culture. Okay.
Don't take my
I
word
see.
for it. Read Thomas Sowell's own book on how black culture allows single motherhood to continue into a nanny state type practice. 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home. 75%. Is that a bigger problem or not a bigger problem than whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy?
All right.
Let me get this. All right, listen. For the people in the chat, right? If you got your like another phone or computer or something by you, I want you to look this up, right? We just gonna make this real simple. Because they like to play psychological games with us, and they like wizards and warlocks. Like if they can get you, they got you. They can get you to believe the lie. When you crime, I'm gonna say something that's controversial, and when I first say it, people gonna say, "No, that's not true," because you've been conditioned to believe it. It has nothing to do with the fathers being in the home. It has absolutely nothing to do with fathers being in the home or out of the home. When you look at America and you look at these inner cities in the 20s, from the 20s up into the 40s, going into the 50s, before they allocated suburbs and whites predominantly lived in these inner cities, crime was at an all-time high. Chicago averaged 400 to 500 homicides every year during Prohibition, and they had fathers in the homes. White fathers outside of the homes was only about 10%. They were in the homes everywhere. St. Louis averaged over 200 homicides a year, right? Detroit averaged over 300 homicides a year during those times. And this is part of one of the reasons why they had to have the New Deal too, because whites was tearing the cities up and they was killing each other. Crazy, with fathers in the home. Because what you had was economic deprivation. You had prohibition, which was the drug at that time. They was selling heroin. They was gang banging. They make movies about it. We were in the South for the most part. That wasn't us doing that. That was whites doing that. But if they can get you to believe that you a nigga and get you to believe the lie and create this narrative that, well, crime is through blacks because fathers are not in the home and because you're not doing your due diligence to study. Everything that we're doing in Chicago today, they did first with the fathers in the home. So it's all there. It's public record. It's there for you to see it. But if they can get you to believe it, Charlie Kirk can come on here and just spew the bull crap that he's spewing. They got the first forms of reparations because they were destroying the cities. And whites got them out of the cities by allocating funds for them. And they replaced us with them because that's why they call it a project. They had already knew it's like a science project. They knew, okay, well, we had our own people in here, but we can keep this thing going by bringing blacks and placing these blacks in these concrete jungles with limited resources, the same way we did the Polacks and the Irish and everybody else. So stop believing the lie, man. Listen, do we need the mom and father in the house? Yes, but stop going for the narrative that they're giving you, because when they had the mom and the father in the house, they were still killing each other. But they telling you that, listen, look up Chicago 1929. Look at the murder rate. Look up St. Louis, 1929, 1932. All of this stuff is around the New Deal. Once they brought the New Deal in, right? And when they moved them out and moved us into these places, right? At first, we wasn't killing each other, everything. Detroit was one of the most affluent, bustling places in America in the 60s, up until the riot. That wasn't us, that was them. Listen, they was killing each other during that time, and they was killing us. They talk about black on black crime and posted that, but we don't have a history of killing them. They was killing us even when we wasn't killing us. They was still killing us and each other. But they got you believing this stuff, and this is where you get your black conservatives and all the stuff pushing this bullcrap, because our people are ignorant, they traumatized and being black hurt, and you don't take the time to study. Thomas Sowell was a piece of shit, excuse me, because he knew this history that I'm talking about. But he got some white cooch. And instead of him teaching his real history, that's why I like not Claude Anderson, Neely Fuller. Neely Fuller explains all of this stuff, and he tells you how. Now he doesn't just espouse white supremacy. He tells you how it works and the psychological part of it. They got you to believe, and they literally Jack Sparrow. These are the pirates of the Caribbean. They traded places with you. So Charlie Kirk is now acting like he's a conservative and you're the liberal. You're the ones just running wild. No, Charlie Kirk and his crew they're the pirates. They're the ones that came onto the shore and took every goddamn thing and switched around and made you believe you the nigga. They got pictures of them doing drive-bys in the 20s with Tommy guns, selling booze. They was the first dope boys and rappers and everything else that they demonize and blame us for. But you believe it. You believe it. Oh man, well, because you don't take the time to study. Everything that we're doing in these cities, they did first. Period. With fathers in the home.
Or without, yeah. I have another clip, and this emphasizes, this is going into black crimes. He's saying that black people commit more crimes towards white people than white people commit crimes towards black people.
Before we get right to that clip, I just want to say one thing. Charlie Kirk's murderer came from a two-parent home, and his parents appeared to have a really good marriage. He ain't a gangster. His real name is Clarence. And so you want to come on here and talk about this trope, right? And to what the brother just said, like the Thomas Sowells of the world, right? They serve a purpose as well. Those are the mouthpieces so that Charlie Kirk can say exactly what he said. I'm not racist. Thomas Sowell said this. So it's not really me. And so that's the same purpose that all of these black and Afro-immigrant conservatives serve now. They are the mouthpiece. They are the shield to say, no, he's not racist because he's telling the truth. But he's not, right? Like we've already debunked that. We're getting right down to it to understand that is built on nothingness. And even in this short clip, he goes from saying 80% didn't have a dad in the home to then jumping to 75% didn't have a dad in the home. Like he don't even know. He just know the number got to be outrageous so it sounds good and so that it looks like that's gonna solve the problem. When, like I said, at the end of the day, when we had one parent, two parents, three parents, grandparents, when we were stocked up on parents in the home, they were still, like the brother just said, killing themselves and then coming over there and killing us. Remember, they pulled Emmett Till out of his house, and there were parents and grandparents, well, not his parents, because they was from Chicago, but the grandparents were in the home. So there's not this magic thing that happens when we got parents in the home and white supremacy ceases to exist and stops tormenting and victimizing us. That's not how it works.
But what he's doing is he's not focusing on that. He's focusing on 2025, or let's say the last 10 years. Like, he's focusing more on the present, and he's using the numbers now. And I get it, because it kind of proves his point to a certain degree, but he still has the numbers a little skewed. But then on top of that, the reasons why, right? The reasons, well, listen, look, if you're a criminal, you're a criminal. You know, I'm not saying everybody who commit a crime, oh, it's because of, racism or that you were poor. No, you just a criminal, right? But when you're talking about a collective group compared to another collective group, first of all, both groups have people that commit crimes for different reasons. So his reasons are completely off. But I noticed that he's using current time to convey what he is saying as if it's fact. I want to play this clip here.
I mean, it doesn't fit a narrative. This is my most charitable reading. The narrative that they have pushed forward in the last 10 years is that there is a relentless assault against black people on behalf of white people. And the data does not show that. You brilliantly pointed this out in your program yesterday. In fact, it's the exact opposite. White individuals are actually more likely to be attacked, especially even per capita, by black individuals in this country. The narrative that they have tried to force feed this nation post-2020 is that we are a systemically racist country to our core. We started to say the word racist more. We started to redesign our corporations. We started to teach things in our classrooms that were from the 1619 Project. And all of this has now been met with an appropriate backlash where people said, we're actually not nearly as racist as you say we are. In fact, we're the least racist country ever to exist in the history of the world. And in fact, if you want to actually talk about race-focused activity, why is it that you then ignore all the race-focused activity of black on white crime? Well, I want to live in a race-neutral country. I don't like talking about race all the time. But when I see it, and I see the left ignore it, and we try to make them live up to their own standard of rules that they force-fed us during the chaos of 2020, it really goes to show the destruction that this can lead to the entire nation. And the final thing I'll say is this, Will, is that this is more than just a semantic argument. This is more than just whether or not it's a race thing or not. Bad policing practices, consent decrees, opening up the prisons. As you say, $3.3 million is an outgrowth of a media narrative lie. So it's not just an innocent media narrative lie. Real policies get put into place when you don't challenge this nonsense in the public square.
That's it. That's very, very well said, Charlie. Race is a part of this story, not just because of the media's lies of omission. Race is a part of this story, not just because of the potential words from the suspect on the light rail in Charlotte. Race is a part of this story because of the policies implemented by a racial lie post-2020. Right. And that's what we need to remember today. Right. These are a consequence of a lie that created policies. Charlie Kirk, well said, as always. Thank you.
Yeah, so where does he get that number from that black people commit crime against white people at a higher rate?
That's what I was going to say. Like, he said more likely. Is more likely equal R or currently doing? Because more likely, based off his stats, then yeah, I could see it be more likely, because he's saying that 50% of black people are in prison are black people. When we started, that wasn't it. So I'm like, I could see the statistic being more likely, but doesn't mean it's happening. Just because something is more likely doesn't mean it actually happens. And black people are usually not even in proximity to white people. Like, I'm from PG County, Maryland. It's not a ton of, I mean, my neighborhood is some white people. It's a few Hispanics. It's a few Arabs, but it's majority black people. So I'm like, how could it be five? I don't know. I just don't feel like that's accurate.
Because he's playing mind games. He knows that black people are traumatized. Listen, I was speaking at an event like a year ago at a foundation, and we were talking. We would go to all the drug corners in Philly during the time when the drill was going on, the murder rate was up. We had a Hug the Block program, me and Umar Johnson's father, and we would go take over all the drug corners. And we got shot at a couple times, right? Back in 2021, 22, right? And I was speaking, I was kind of upset, and I was talking about what we need to do in our communities and everything. This black woman stood up and she said emphatically, I don't care nothing about no white man. I hate you niggas. It's you niggas that killed both my sons. Wasn't no white man. So I learned something that day when talking to our people and how traumatized our people are. Now, the stuff that I talk about, she don't know anything about that. All she knows is 2 black people killed her sons. She don't know who's the culprit, who's creating the atmosphere for this stuff to happen, and who's benefiting economically. So Charlie knows this stuff. So he can come and speak in the manner in which he speaks, and people will say, yeah, I'm tired of these niggas too. Get these niggas, yeah, Charlie. So that when they hear Charlie speak this way, and they look around with no education or no problem-solving skills, like most of us in our communities, we don't have the knowledge of how to solve the problems of the black community. So Charlie can get away with this. If we had knowledge of how to solve our problems in our communities and knowledge of our history, this wouldn't work. Charlie knows he can get over with a lot of black people, especially young people that's traumatized with these statistics and stuff, because that's all that they see. They don't know anything else. They don't have any information to put up against what Charlie is saying. And that's why he can say the stuff that he says. So that's why that woman said what she said to me. So, and I learned the lesson that day. I had to revamp the way I give my information out to my people when I'm talking, because I had to realize just how traumatized we are. She said she hate us niggas. Her enemy wasn't the white man. And that was powerful. It was like, well, damn, you know what I'm saying?
But that isn't that because that's who she's living around. Listen,
right.
And the fact is that, yeah, there are bad people, bad black people, bad white people. It doesn't matter. Honestly, I don't want to live around niggas. I don't. I don't. It's just I don't want to live around people with a certain type of mindset or behavior. So but I don't see black people
messing with white people.
Yeah, killing, harming, or terrorizing white people. You can't take 1 or 2 incidents, because what happened in Charlotte on that train was just horrible. But to generalize it, the norm, that's not the norm.
And that's how you know it's not the norm, because when it is an incident, you see it everywhere. We saw with the Carmelo Anthony and the Austin Metcalf. That was everywhere, because it doesn't, from what I see, it doesn't happen that much. Because if it did, it would be on the news, because I'm gonna say it, that I think certain people want the racist feuding, so it can't, we're not even in proximity to white people like that for it to even happen.
Black people know better. Now, it may be things that happen every now and then, but for the most part, black people, listen, black people will go and shoot a corner and shoot 15 black people. 2 cops turn the corner, they'll drop them guns and run. It's a psychological warfare they got in your brain. They conditioned you to believe that they are, well, I always tell you, white supremacy wasn't created for black people. It was created for white people. You're dominated by white power. But white supremacy was an ideology for white people to make them believe that they're superior to you. And they had to first dominate their own and then teach this stuff, right? So the thing is, because you're dominated by them so much, you start to acquiesce to this bullshit. You really believe this stuff. They socially engineer it to you from the time you were a child, right? You're watching Santa Claus, Superman, all the superheroes, everything associated with power and greatness and winning is white. When you go to school, they give you Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. What happened to them at the end of the story? What do you think they're giving you this stuff for? They're not giving you all the history of black inventors and black people that actually fought back and stuff like that, died at the end of the story, man. These are social engineering tactics. So like we understand that the tactics of the wizards. Just understand something. If they say that the mother is the first teacher, right? That's what they always say. Mom's the first teacher. So the first teacher, right? And we know that slavery existed in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, right? Jim Crow, black codes, all these things. So if grandmama and big mama was, what was that white woman teaching her white son? To travel down so many generations. And she engineered and psychologically conditioned to see ourselves a certain way. 500 logically maintaining the ultimate deceiver and wizard. You're not going to beat this game. You're going to beat him and recognizing what he's doing from it. You got to separate your mind from it. He's been doing this shit for 500 years. Every time you think you're going to figure it out, he's just going to redo them. He does. So I'm just saying, it's what it is. If the one first teacher, then that white woman been teaching it to Kirk and all this stuff for years. It is what it is, man.
Well, I would say this. I would just say, based on the clip that we just watched, the entire premise, again, nuance. That's my favorite word because I think it misses and they purposely leave it out because it debunks the entire system and ideology that their entire message is built on, right? So, because essentially what they're trying to say is that everything that came out of 2020 was a lie because it was white people bad. And that's not the messaging at all, right? That's the messaging that they want to tell their people. That was the messaging when it wasn't, right? The messaging was we need to stop state-sponsored murder, right? Because even when he's talking about any incident, we all agree it can't be as prevalent as he's saying because of proximity and segregation and things of that nature. The bottom line is this: if and when a black person does anything against a white person, 9 times out of 10, they are going to go to jail. And they are going to face the fullest extent of the law. Now, when executes a black person, 9 times out of 10, they're going to get away with it. That was the message. Not, oh, when white people do stuff to black people, that's bad, and we gotta address that directly. Now, when that does happen, it deserves to be addressed. But in most cases, it is addressed. Now we got to deal with, the justice system giving them a break because it's built into the crust anyway. But the bottom line is we were talking about coming out of 2020 where a state-sponsored agent murdered George Floyd. We were talking about that. We were talking about the state murdering black Americans and getting away with it. Not just all white people, but that is the grievance that they have to create because they need a straw man. They need an enemy to deploy these talking points against. And that's why he's up there talking about, everything was built on a lie. So everything that they look to put into place policy-wise was built on a lie and shouldn't be there. And that's the game that they're playing. They're switching out language. And he also said something too, and going back to another clip, again, this is the kind of, like I said, the game that they play. Because he said, hey, the same people that said it's racist to come up with a voter ID are the same people that's saying, hey, we need to document those of us that are tied to the enslavement camps in the South. No, it's not the same people saying that. Because
you said that
the Democrat
at all. That's liberals. That's the liberal talking point.
The Democrat Party and liberals are saying that about voter ID. Black Americans are saying, hey, reparations is built on those of us that have answers and can document it. So this, like I said, these are the games that he plays, and that's why he kept trying to put that label on that young brother, even though the young brother was saying, like, no, I'm not a liberal. And so he even had to acquiesce and then say, well, let's just pretend that you are. Or also, let's look at the argument based on if you were a liberal, because that's what his talking point demands him to talk to. So when that doesn't happen, he has to create it, because without that created straw man, then all of his talking points start to fall by the wayside.
And it was a lot of white on white violence at these vigils. I don't know if y'all saw, but there was a Charlie Kirk, vigil, and a white liberal said F Charlie Kirk, and they jumped him and ran over the candles too. Like,
that's what. Here's the thing though, because this means test. Okay, here's the thing, because white people get down. they're with the shits, especially amongst their own. They fight, they shoot at each other, they do a lot. But when you look at the media just portrays Black people are the only ones that do it. Yes, we have there's a lot of crime in Chicago and these New York, wherever, high urban populated areas and high poor areas, right? So because the correlation is poverty, the higher the crime rate. That's with any group. So there are a lot of white people who are poor, and there is a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of drug dealing, especially now because the fentanyl is like the new crack era, but it's really hitting white America the hardest. But it's never shown on television or media, social media or mainstream media. I want to play this last clip here, this quick clip. It's 27 seconds.
Shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 Black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation, but I guess
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the last
affected
80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just.
So he was basically saying that you can't. Black people kind of had it better under Jim Crow and
This shows
slavery.
they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid.
So yeah, that part, they actually had it better.
But see, Dana, this is the thing. I'm gonna take this angle. He made my point. He said that in the 1940s. So let's look at the state of white America in the 1940s, or from the 1900s leading up to the 1940s. Right? They was killing each other at all-time high, and they was killing us. See, this is the thing. She brought up about what they was doing to us, but she wasn't smart enough to articulate it in a way that would just wipe out what he just said. Because he's right. We wasn't killing each other, right? We was too busy worrying about being killed by y'all. We was too busy worrying about being discriminated by you guys, right? So no, and we wasn't up in these cities in large numbers. We were still in the Jim Crow South, right? While you was up in Chicago doing drive-bys with Tommy guns and selling your heroin and running your mafia plays and all this stuff. This is what you guys were doing, right? But so she wasn't able to articulate it because of this again. The young sister, when she heard it, she got emotional a little bit because he triggered her. So she said her stuff, but she said it in an emotional way instead of staying calm, looking him right in the eye and just giving it right back the way he's giving it, right? And he's banking on her getting emotional because he knows we're traumatized. See, he's using strategy. He knows that we're traumatized people, and I can say some triggering things, right, to get you triggered. Now I got you. But this is the thing, right? This is going to sting a little bit, right? And in my videos, I have a lot of white people now saying a whole bunch of nasty stuff to me. But my response back to them is, listen, white on white violence killed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's hate speeches is what the seeds that he planted is the seeds that created his undoing. The very thing that he talked about single mothers and black on black crime. Unfortunately, right now, his wife is a single mother now because of the hate that he spoke that came back to his home. He created a single mother home and without the children because of the hate speech. The seeds that he planted came knocking at his door. That's what happened. And a lot of people are afraid to say it, but he was saying it about us. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. His wife right now, unfortunately, is a single mother because of the hate that hate produced. And it was white on white violence that killed him. That's what killed him. Years and years and years and years of hate. And a man thinks the way he thinks of who he is. He created and brought this energy into his life. He created this universe by the rhetoric that he was spewing. So if you constantly spew that kind of rhetoric, if I carry a gun and I walk around with I wish a nigga would mentality, at some point a nigga's going to be willing. Because I'm walking around with that kind of mentality. I'm creating that energy. So he created that. When he died, the moment before the bullet struck him, he said something about black gang violence. He said black gang bang. He died with those words in his mouth. So all I'm saying is, unfortunately, and I don't listen, I'm not celebrating his death or mourning his death. I'm indifferent. But his wife right now was mourning because of what he brought on himself with his words.
Well said. And that's all fact. All fact. So I want to swing to the HBCU because apparently when this happened, which Consuelo, honey, what's going on?
I think she got to connect to her browser. She might be having the same trouble I was having.
Yeah.
Are you home? Yeah,
No,
but are you
I'm
home?
not.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, that's why.
No.
That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
you got a lot
I
of.
could do
It's a lot of.
audio.
Yeah, no. It's a lot of noise in the background. It's a lot of noise in the background.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll just do it again next Friday if you're available next Friday. If you're going to be home next Friday, hopefully. Or you know what? And then too, I could probably have you come on Monday night if you're available Monday night because I really wanted to get your input on this. So, yeah, we'll just do. You'll just come on another time. Okay, I don't know. We can't hear it. I know she muted up. I want to swing to, and by the way, guys, I put the FBI crime stats in the chat. That was from 2019. Is it from 2019? Wait, let me get the 2019. That's from 2019. Yes, we're in 2025. So that was like 6 years ago. Much hasn't changed, but just, and so when you look at the numbers, yes, there are more white people than there is black people. So white people are committing more crimes. Black people, because we're 17% of the population. However, we're the poorest. So the higher the poverty, the higher the crime. But I want to swing, and I'm going to get to the super chats, everyone. So just give me a second. But I want to swing to the HBCUs because when he was shot, when Charlie Kirk was shot on Wednesday, that was Wednesday, yeah, on Wednesday, apparently HBCUs got threats. So this is the Black Caucus. Let's see. Damn ants. Okay, that's better. The threats made against HBCU cannot be swept aside. The U.S. Department of Justice and FBI must act swiftly to fully investigate these threats and purpose the appropriate legal action against those responsible. So this is the Congressional Black Caucus. They issued a statement on today. Congressional Black Caucus Chair Yvette D. Clarke in New York and members of Congressional Black Caucus. The threats made against several historical Black colleges and universities are not only the vow, they are a chilling reminder of the relentless racism and extremism that continues to target and terrorize Black communities in this country. These terrorist threats designed to intimidate and foment hatred against everyday Americans, in this case, Black institutions of higher learning, cannot go unchallenged and must not be swept aside. Black students and HBCU communities deserve to be protected. The Congressional Black Caucus stands in full solidarity with students, faculty, and staff of HBCU around our nation, and we remain committed to ensuring their safety and security. The U.S. Department of Justice and FBI must act swiftly to fully investigate these threats and pursue the appropriate legal action against those responsible. So I don't know if that, first of all, why are you demanding the FBI to intervene when that should be something automatically happening? So, and then why is HBCU getting threats? I think it's smoke and mirrors. What do you think?
I'm glad you said that.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Like I said before the show, Black people don't even really know who this man was. When I did a show on my morning show, which is the urban morning show, I had, we had talked about it. Then when I did a stream, a political stream, Black people in my chat that watched the morning show, they were like, who is Charlie Kirk? Most Black people do not know who this man was. And I don't think these college kids, I went to Howard, I went to a HBCU, it was a while ago. They are not all political. Like them kids is in school, they partying. It's not really a Black thing.
Yeah, but so again, It has to be smoke and mirrors.
Or I think I am a conspiracy theorist a bit. I think the people that run the media that always show black people doing degeneracy, over amount of degeneracy, I think those people that run the media want a race war. That's why they show black people looking crazy and all this. So white people, they don't want us to unify. They don't want a calm country. They want us fighting with each other. And that's how we done got thrown in it, because this ain't even a black thing.
Democrats
my
want
opinion.
that $1 billion fund allocated to resource allocated to these nonprofits in the form of anti-violence and
the
protection. It's all
501c.
bullcrap and smoke and mirrors. You know the way that if this was really happening, how you stop this? All Black Americans got to do right now. I know why they're doing that, because, like I said, they're doing that for money, because it's big money and not stopping crime, but having anti-violence stuff, because they allocate this money to police departments, the mayor's office, the DA, and they give money to all these nonprofit, billions and hundreds of millions of dollars every year. So they're not going to stop it, right? This is the thing. Right now, it's trolls inside the chat, right? It's trolls inside the chat. This how simple you make it. It was a white person that killed Tim. Why y'all over here? See, it's low-hanging fruit and easy to come over here and mess with us. We ain't kill him. Even though he said all that stuff, your people, he got killed, he got backdoored by the people in his own house. So listen, trolls and everybody else and white folks, it was a white man. It was the typical profile. When we saw JFK get his brains blown out his head in the back of that car, that was a white man. Dr. King, that was a white man. Robert Kennedy, this is the American way. Your people kill your people, and then what you do is you come over here to us and troll us because you are afraid to challenge your people for killing you. See, the thing is, we got an issue in our community with us killing each other. We're not killing you. You was killing us and you killing you. And then you come over here and troll us for you killing you. Think about that, though. So I'm saying to you white trolls, go fight back. Go over there and fight back. Like, they killing you. They killed your mans. We didn't do it. Why are you over here with us? So if he said nasty things about us and we not mourning his death, but it was white political gang violence that killed him, gang banging that killed him. How you over here mad at us? What we do? He got killed by political gang violence. It's the truth. So for all you trolls, do we got a black on black problem within our own segment? Absolutely, we dealing with. They ain't got nothing to do with you, because we ain't killing each other. We ain't killing y'all communities. This is happening amongst us. He got killed. Listen, if Chicago's a problem, Utah got snipers. Y'all gotta go figure something. Y'all gotta go get Utah together, man. They sniping people in Utah right now. White people afraid, they running and falling, babies is crying. Y'all gotta fix that. Y'all got a sniping problem. So go to your community and get your white people together and tell them when somebody disagree with them, stop trying to kill Trump. Y'all just, what's wrong with y'all? That's y'all doing that. That wasn't nobody black. So how you over here trolling us? Why? Because we low hanging fruit. It's easy to come over here and call us primates and call us names behind avatars without your face. But it's your people that's killing you.
Yeah, what I'll say to I'll say to that, I'll ask a Charlie Kirk question. Which one do you think is a bigger problem for the white community? Us black people, or y'all killing each other at an 84% rate? Y'all got to clean that up. It might be because y'all got too many fathers in the home. Maybe something going on with that. That might be the correlation. You know what I'm saying? Since it's us with no fathers in the home, and y'all killing each other with fathers in the home, y'all might need less fathers in the home, because this political gangbanging y'all doing, like my brother just said, y'all took a shot at Trump. Whether people believe that's real or not, it still happened. It's on the record, and y'all just got Charlie Kirked. And so y'all got to find out what y'all gonna do with that, because he brought up mass shooting and tried to sneak in that line about, we talk about gang violence or we not talking about gang violence. And we gonna label this gang violence, but it was white on white gang violence. He never thought in his wildest dreams that he would have to address, let alone get undressed by white on white crime and white gang violence for good.
But remember what he said about empathy. Remember what he said about empathy. So for us upset, Charlie Kirk didn't deal with it. That was weakness. So we're not dealing with, I'm dealing with what Charlie said. Charlie said we don't, so I'm not being empathetic. Listen, Charlie, if Charlie was alive right now and somebody else that was white got killed, right? And say if it was a black person was a suspect, you know what Charlie would say, Dana? Black people wouldn't be intelligent enough to pull something like that off. That's what he would say. We wouldn't be intelligent enough to pull something that elaborate off. We would do something that would it would be Boo shot Frog at the street light and got caught down the block. That kind of stuff. We're not that intelligent to hit somebody from 200 yards out, land on your stomach with a high-powered rifle. We DEI shooters, not these elaborate shooters. So what I'm saying is, if he's not dealing in empathy, why are y'all so upset? He said himself, he'll sacrifice a couple deaths a year to uphold the Second Amendment. So why are you over here trolling us when your guy Charlie said he'll sacrifice some deaths for the Second Amendment? He don't deal in empathy, and we're not intelligent enough. So go over to your people and go in there and deal with your people. Go deal with Jack Sparrow and the Pirates of the Caribbean, man. Go deal with them.
So I found this funny because the internet is a hot mess because they put his face on top of George Floyd here. And that's exactly how, white America is immortalizing Charlie Kirk. So he is the new George Floyd in white America. Now I want to bring this up because yes, we got to get to black folk
People squeeze inside.
in Chicago. Yes, with the Charlie Kirk, blah, 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 blah. Send no goddamn National Guards to Chicago. Trump says he's going to send them into Memphis now. Good. Because one thing about black people, yes, we know crime is going on where we live at. We don't deny it. We want help. We want it cleaned up. We're not in denial. So I want to play this clip of, I don't know if these are teens, but they rolled a car and did a smash and grab at the Louis Vuitton store in Chicago.
Eyewitness video shows how this all began. A pickup truck backing up to ram the glass at the Louis Vuitton store on Michigan and Walton. Several people squeeze inside and run back out with what appears to be merchandise. This happened around 4:50 a.m. and goes on for at least a full minute. Tragedy then strikes around the corner on Michigan Avenue, where two cars are involved in a serious crash, including this white vehicle that rolled over. It's unclear if the drivers collided with each other or something else in the area, but the damage and injuries are significant. Michigan Avenue from Illinois to Ontario is shut down for hours. Now, around the same time as all of that, CBS Skywatch was over a scene on DuSable Lakeshore Drive near Soldier Field, where police looked like they were taking people into custody. We are still working to confirm all three of these scenes are related. At the moment, police will only say that they are investigating if the three scenes are connected. Eyewitness.
So they're doing a damn smash and grab at the Louis store, backing up a damn pickup truck on Michigan Avenue. That's like Chicago's Fifth Avenue and Rodeo Drive.
And I don't know if you saw a person, because I didn't hear it in that clip. A person actually died. Did they say that in the clip? Yeah. So there was a few car crashes. There was a car crash because it was 3 cars that were from this incident, and an innocent person had died in the car crash from these getaway, the getaway drivers. Yes, wow. It was horrible.
Yeah. But you know what though? This is American culture, and this goes back to what I'm saying. They use the media, and Richard Nixon said this. We'll use the media to demonize them, right? What I'm saying is, in today's time, for a short period of time, from let's say 1970 to now, we've been doing this to each other in our community, right? They've been doing this. This is their culture, their history. They've been the smashing grabbers. They've been robbing stuff. They make movies about their culture, all the way from like I said, the Pirates of the Caribbean to barbarians to mobsters and gangsters to political gangsters. They make movies about it and make it cinematic, right? But then they use us as like the real scapegoats for criminality, where Black culture is not criminality. It's American culture. It's the American way. So all I'm saying is everything that they show us doing now, they did first. And we got to start giving back to them. Yeah, we got a problem with weed, and y'all haven't done it, still do. Show me where the FBI really brought down a Klan and made them a terrorist group and all these different things and all these other groups. So this is what I'm saying, it's a smoke screen, it's all bull crap. So they can use the media today and look at these blacks. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You got a history. If I'm getting on an elevator and there's a white woman on there, I should be more afraid of her than she is of me, knowing her history. But they conditioning me to believe that I'm the problem. I'm the hood. If I'm walking down the street with a hood on and there's 3 white guys walking up the street, I should cross the street, knowing the history of this country. But they made me believe I'm the nigga. That's what they've done to us, man. And so now if they get you to believe it, you start acting out that stuff. They are the original thugs and criminals. Not that I should cross the street. I should be locked in my door. But they got you believing it. And that's why they can come in here and troll us like this, because they got to keep reinforcing the niggerism on you. But when they come in here calling us names and acting up, they acting within their culture. This is who they really are.
Let me play this clip of Herbo, because he's from Chicago, talking about the National Guard. Herbo.
You know, there's a lot of politics in this, but now Trump's threatening to send the National Guard to Chicago. That's your city. What do you feel about this?
Keep us safe, man. Whatever you need to do to keep the kids safe and the women.
So you give it a thumbs up. There's a lot of people.
Never gonna keep us safe and clean the streets, man. I'm all for it.
Okay, wow. You know what?
Make sure the babies get home, man.
Hey, you know what?
That's all I care about, man.
There was a lot of people, even gangsters, posting stuff on social media saying like, "I dare him to send them Will."
I'm a taxpaying citizen, man. I just want everybody to get home safe, man.
So this is a thumbs up from Herbo right now. For sure. All right, hey, take care.
So he even saying bring him in, but you know what? He's supposed to have been this gang person, this big time gang person. I never looked at him like that. Like, I don't think he ever had that type of heart.
Most of them don't, man.
Oh, he was.
He got shot.
He was.
Huh?
He got shot.
It's a lot of punks that get shot. I couldn't. It's not convincing. Like, I don't know.
Most of them ain't though. They're just a product of the environment. You take them out that environment, they turn back into regular people. Most of them ain't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that could be it too. And the best ones don't. The best ones don't get through.
What'd you say, Devine?
I said the best ones don't look like what they've been through.
Yeah,
that's how they last.
I'm a big punk today.
Yeah, he was active.
That's how you last this long.
Oh.
Man, I'm 50.
Mm-hmm. But like he said,
Right.
he a citizen now, and he talking like our citizens should talk. Help the kids, help the women. I'm for it. Send in the National Guard. They sent them into DC. Y'all, I went to brunch. I had to worry about nothing getting snatched because they was snatching people's Canada Goose coats.
Oh, that's right. You do live in DC. I wanna bring in these super chats, but you do see a decrease in crime now in DC. It's better.
Yes, like every 91%
in the black districts, in the black areas.
I will say, okay, so there's an area in DC that has a high amount of crime. It's called Southeast DC. They were actually wanting, more of a presence, but across the whole city, yes, the crime has definitely gone down. Like, it was people that live in the city. They was like, oh, this is the first time I heard birds chirping. Like, no, it's I'm serious. Like, I would be scared. I would go to Northern Virginia because they were robbing people. If you went to, even in the nice areas, they were robbing the the valet. The valets were getting robbed. There was a girl that was she was leaving this very expensive restaurant. It's called Philippe Chow. They robbed her leaving the restaurant. Like, these YNs, I mean, even the fancy, it was, certain nice areas, they were getting cars broken into every night. Like, the staff at this restaurant had tremendous turnover just because, and if you saw like where this restaurant was at, you wouldn't think that this would be happening, on this street. But it was really bad, and it really substantially changed as far as crime going down.
Thank you, Freedmen's Network. He says, my man Devine, peace, black man from Freedmen's AFF Airs Radio. or is that AM airs radio? I don't know. AFF airs radio.
I think that's Freeman's Affairs Radio. I think he put a space in the between the F and the A.
Oh, Freeman's Affairs. Yes, there's a space. Okay, Freeman Affairs Radio. Okay, you have a radio station?
I don't know. I'm about to say shout out to his radio station. It's Freeman's Network, so maybe you got some. I gotta check that out. Let me get more information on that.
Yeah. Send me an email and I'll forward it to Devine if you don't have his email. But I'm gonna put Devine information in the description and in the comment section as well. Thank you. The last African live. He says, IOU, don't cash this till the first. Thank you. Thank you again, Freeman. I love that we are not letting a Charlie Kirk clap move us off reparations. Yeah. Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Freeman, he's like my number one donator. So thank you, Freeman. Fannie Mae Hammer testifies shows blacks were cheated and lost property and wealth through farming, devaluing property, and social policy act for poverty. Social policy act, yeah, for poverty. Yes, absolutely. Actually, I'm gonna do a video on that. Thank you again, Freeman. Freeman Affairs Radio, Brooklyn, NYC. Okay, we gotta check that out. And I need to invite you on. Dana, please talk to those who are foundational YouTubers who are crying over this bozo and call themselves Christian conservatives. So, Tariq Nashi, I can't hear you, Devine. You say something? Oh, you did.
Now, I think it's hitting me now. I know who that is. That's my. I think that's my man Vaughn.
Oh, okay.
I think I know what it is now. I was like, wait, looking at it, I was like, oh yeah, I do know that. Okay, yes.
Well, I do know Tariq Nashi. He has been exposing, of course, the tethers crying, over Charlie Kirk, but listen, that is to be expected. The wild, ironic thing is Charlie Kirk spent his entire career talking about fatherless households, and now his children are fatherless. Yeah, same thing you said, George.
Yeah. Hey, Dana. I was going to say, here in Philly, right? We got the highest drop in murder. For the last 2 years, we had the highest drop in murder rate for 1 million, right? We found this year around this time we have less murders than Baltimore. We 2 times the size of Baltimore, right? We got unfortunately still 155 people dead, but usually around this time we'd be close to 300 going into the end of the year, and we it'd be anywhere from 275 to 325. It fluctuates, right? What the homicide rate would be by September, right? We had 155, right? But like I'm just maybe like 1,000 people shot. Usually by end of the year, it's 3,000 people shot, right? So we had the high fastest drop in murder rate, and we don't have no we didn't need the National Guards to come in. It's just been a lot of grassroots, and here in the city, man, Larry Krasner, our DA, man, Larry Krasner locked everybody up. But this is the thing. He gave warning for 2 years. I did so many videos when Larry Krasner was doing rap songs. He was taking the kids' drill rap music and making rap songs saying, we're going to lock you up. He gave them warning 2 years in a row. If anybody followed Philly news during the drill, he was telling you, we're coming to get you. He was naming all the gangs. He told you to stop. They still kept killing. So they locked them all up. In the last 2 years, the crime rate, the murder rate plummeted, right? Plummeted. And we've been on the streets. Like I said, we still got the Hug the Block program. It's out there, and like you can literally see it. Like the murder, like you can go outside, you can go do certain things. As we had that thing on the 4th of July that went viral across the country when they had that big shooting that was on the news everywhere. And they showed those 3 people got killed and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the murder rate is down. And for us to only have 100 and something homicides around this time, with over almost 2 million people, right? It's still 100 and something people dead, but compared to our years, like we way down. Baltimore got more murders than us.
Let me read this. Juan Solo. Street media is slower than sloth cheeks. He didn't say black gang violence. He said gang violence. Didn't know black people were the only one in gangs.
He upset because Charlie got on the live and we didn't do it.
Well,
so I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, so he's talking about his last words when he said gangs. However, we're talking about Charlie Kirk's everything he said about Black America and Black Americans. Like his data, his talking points, his ideology were off, were wrong, were incorrect. So yeah, we're not harping on his last word. We're harping on everything he has ever said about Black Americans.
Can I say something real quick?
You know they're gonna cherry.
Go ahead, Street, because he was talking about you. If you
No,
want to say something.
I was just saying they're gonna cherry pick things that we gonna say. They're gonna cherry pick certain things to try to take the narrative away. It's too late, man. We already laid out the point already. It's recorded.
Right. So his name was Juan Solo. So I'm gonna assume and go on a limb and believe that was a Hispanic / Latino gentleman, right? So I want to just make sure this point gets driven home for those. It's not even about Juan. It's above Juan now. I believe, and I hope I'm getting this name right, but either way, it was an advisor to Reagan. I believe his name was Lee Atwater. And he was advising Reagan on how to craft policies to discriminate and marginalize Black Americans, but without saying the N-word, because it had come a time, by the time you get around to the 80s, where those words were frowned upon. So you couldn't come out and say white supremacy. You couldn't come out and say the N-words and displace them like an LBJ could. And so Lee Atwater taught him the language to say, hey, say marginalized, say urban areas, because these are the words that our people will know are synonymous with Black people. And yeah, there'll be some white people that are negatively impacted, but the majority will be Black people that are negatively impacted. This is an audio that he's caught on, a recording. And so to Juan, trying to play this semantical game about, oh, he said gangs, it's not Black gangs. Hombre, you gotta commentate on that, man. We understand what is meant, and what's understood don't need to be explained. And we understand that these are the code words that these people use, so they don't have to say those words outright. Because the question was about mass shooting. You don't need to bring up gang violence, because gang violence is not the same as mass shooting. They changed that terminology up to include what was going on in our urban areas, aka Chicago, to pathologize Black people, because they understood that mass shootings were almost being done exclusively by white people, and you can't spin that if you're putting out the narrative that they're trying to put out.
Thank you. Purge the BS. Black people say worse stuff to each other than what Charlie Kirk was saying.
And yeah, he was referring to basically when we were saying this don't even have anything to do with Black people, because I saw when he sent that chat.
That's so stupid, because white people say all kinds of egregious stuff to each other as well. So
yeah, everybody talk mess.
That makes no sense. What Charlie's saying, in a country that discriminated against Blacks and have a history of killing Blacks, and he's saying things to try to undo things that was actually put on the books. That's where the disrespect and the violation of civil rights come in. But again, you dealing. See, let's just take the gloves off and just be honest.
Well, I'm saying, because I saw when the person sent the chat in, we were talking about basically saying like this isn't a white people thing. Like Black people don't flick with white people. So that's what he was. He was kind of. Yeah,
I got it. But look, check this out, right? Let's just be honest for me. With everything that we said tonight, right? Everything that we said. If we really unpack this, and Dana know where I'm about to go. Dana, you want to know when I say this. We are dealing with people, groups of whites that's in the chat right now, right? And people like Charlie, people like Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon, when they was caught on video talking bad about Black people, they believe that they teach Madison Grant, H.S. Chamberlain, they teach that they had to dumb themselves down, right? In order to give us rights. They have a sovereign right to govern over us, because we don't have the ability or the intellectual capacity to actually build or do anything without them. Madison Grant said the level of intelligence for the Negro depends on how much white blood he has in them. So what I'm saying is they believe that when he said things should be on merit base, understand why he's saying that, where that comes from. That comes from people like H.S. Chamberlain and people like Madison Grant, the rising of the great race. That's where these talking points come from when he's saying merit base, right? But again, if you don't study and he's using them terms, you don't know how to attack that, right? So merit base is saying that you guys aren't intelligent enough. right? And we have to come off of being white in order to basically meet your standards. If it was up to us, we'd be still hanging you. So remember, if I come to a land where there's already people there and I say I discovered it, I'm already discarding you as a human. So they look at you as something that's less than the gum at the bottom of their feet. They feel like they're forced to not be white in order for you to actually exist in their society. So how can you have a conversation with people like this? Well, they believe that they gave you civil rights. Everything you have in this country is because I gave it to you. If I decide to take it back tomorrow, I can take it. This is the type of people we're dealing with. So there's no conversation with these people because they believe that they can take it. They can have your women, y'all too. They can have y'all whenever they want, and they can do whatever they want to do to us whenever they want. They believe this. That's why they say the things that they say.
Freedmen's Network, Juan Solo, gang violence is code word for black. Freedmen Network again, Beanie Siegel said on Rock the Mic that lead will go clap, your head will go back.
Oh, God.
I never liked Beanie Siegel, but thanks. The Black Fiasco, I'm going to have these ends voting Dem for 200 years, LBJ.
Yep.
The famous line. And Juan Solo again, Juan is acronym. Again, another low IQ individual making assumptions and not intelligent enough to comprehend dialect. First of all, it's Juan. So Juan is a name. It's a Latin Hispanic name. So what acronym is Juan? Like, come on, Juan.
How you say acronym and don't say what the acronym is for? High IQ. Never
Look
mind.
at the term low IQ. When they use the term low IQ, those are the dog whistles. Those are the dog whistles. Low IQ, not intelligent enough, and they believe that they have to dumb themselves down.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You're not intelligent enough. We have a right to govern you, and your women belong to us too. It says that in the King Leopold's letter. This is what they teach. They still
the Black
teach this
Fiasco
stuff.
said, "Are you serious? Merit base is racist. Is it racist? Merit base?
Based from them, yes, absolutely. 1,000%, 800,000%.
Right. Explain what system is totally based on merit where race doesn't play a part. Then we can really think about it.
Yeah. Well, and if see the thing is, if they're saying merit based off the history of America and how they established things, then it's definitely racist because there's not an equal playing field. So it can't be merit because when we had better test scores than them in the 40s and the 30s and we were inventing things, they still was keeping us out and stealing our patents. So it was making it seem like that. And then they said that we were deaf, dumb, and blind and out of our mind. So how can it be merit based when the goddamn people that's judging the merit is wicked? No. Like, who you think? Like, no.
Man, yeah. Also, this is the last thing, last clip that I'm gonna play here. Say something. I can't hear.
Testing. Testing.
Can y'all say something?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Say something.
I'm saying something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Kelly, are you muted?
I was saying something. I was talking.
Okay. No, it's my head things. The thing was going in and out. Thank you. Again, Black Fiasco. Professional sports has the most mediocrity.
I agree there.
How?
I think
you gotta have talent to be in professional sports.
No, that's what meritocracy means. Like it's based on your skill, no other factors. So we know there's other factors, but I would say that's the closest thing that comes to a meritocracy in this society.
Oh, meritocracy. I was saying it wrong. You know what? I used to like, and I'm not gonna say I dislike him, but Benny, he been saying some slick stuff too. And this is the problem that I do have with people who have large followings, because people think because you have a large following that that you know what you're talking about. And that's just not the case. But let me actually make this center. So he said, did you know that 1 in every 22 Black men in America will commit murder in their lifetime? Black men, who make up only 6% of the population, commit 51% of the murders in America. Black men are 9 times more likely to commit violent crime than the general population in the U.S. How did we get here? One glaring data point shows a catastrophic culture difference between Black men and the rest of American population: fatherlessness. 70% of Black babies are born without present fathers. 64% Black children are raised by a single parent. There are about 9.5 million Black children under 18 in the U.S., and roughly 6.1 million live in fatherless households. Kids without fathers are more likely to live in poverty, half as likely to graduate college, and twice as likely to end up in prison. 70% of juveniles in state facilities come from single parent homes. There is your fatherlessness to criminal to prison pipeline. But how did this happen? The Great Society welfare programs, 1960s, only 9% of all American children were raised without fathers. But here's the thing, and this is why I disagree. Just because they're getting single parent numbers. Can somebody say something to make sure my audio is okay?
Testing.
Okay, yes, I can hear you. They're getting these numbers from when you do your taxes and a woman is putting head of household because she's not married. That does not mean that the father is not in that child's life. And this is why I'm saying these numbers are skewed. So single parent, meaning that, yes, you are not married. That makes you a single parent because you're not married. That does not mean that the father is not in the child's life, that there's no father presence. Yes, there are more people, way more percentage of people having kids without marriage. That's number one. Yes, there's been an increase with absentee dads. I'm not denying that. But there is a correlation between school to prison pipeline. Fathers are needed in the household or in that kid's life. But when you throw in his data and numbers, the numbers are off because you are just taking a woman who has to claim head of household because she is not married. That does not mean the child is fatherless. You don't have those accurate numbers. Even when women is on welfare, she could not have a man live with her. So the men will sometimes be in the house, but just not on paper, or they will come when the welfare lady checking on your house was not there. They make sure to leave. The movie Claudine. So again, the numbers are skewed. And this is when that Black guy stabbed that Ukrainian refugee on the Charlotte train, and everybody was screaming, oh, fatherless Black homes, Black crime, Black on white crime. But now that your boy got Kirk, let's talk about white on white crime. And maybe I have a panel with that, and I'm gonna invite some white people on. But yeah, let's talk about white on white crime. So I just wonder, but I'm not playing his clip. I just wonder, or should I play his clip?
Who clip is that?
Benny Johnson. No, it's this.
Who is that? Who Benny Johnson?
He a YouTuber. He got like over 2 million subscribers, so he is a big deal. Huh?
He a white guy.
Yeah. I mean, but we already reached the 2-hour mark. Blacks are more violent.
But listen to that crap.
How about this? How about men are more violent? Men.
But just think of this, Dana. How many Native Americans and Black people since the 1500s been killed in this country by white people, all the way up to this day? So they make them stupid statements. It's just like, okay, whatever, whatever.
Right. But listen, thank you guys for coming on. This was great. Listen, I want to say this was an echo chamber, but because I usually don't want to have a panel where everybody agrees, but I knew I wanted to have a panel today to where we were all on the same accord, because we are actually debunking Charlie Kirk's talking points on Black Americans and Black America, the state of Black America, and what he had to say, which was completely false and inaccurate. It was very much inaccurate. And the reason why we're all gonna be talking about Charlie Kirk, if as long as the media, popular YouTubers, the president and his administration, as long as they keep talking about him, other content creators are going to talk about him. So that's just how it is. Y'all just going to have to hear more talk about Charlie Kirk, because they're trying to immortalize. Is immortalize or immortalize? Immortalize.
Yeah.
They're trying to immortalize him into like this hero, you know, like he's assassinated, like he was the second coming of Malcolm X or something like that. And, you know, he's getting a Medal of Freedom and all this other stuff. They're probably going to have a statesman, congressional statesman ceremony. So we're going to keep talking about him and the bullshit that was coming out his mouth that was inaccurate.
And I will say this, and you know, y'all know I am a conservative, but they did you hear about this, Dana? I don't know if y'all heard about this, but they had the flags half mast.
Yeah.
For that's, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like that was only something that was done for like actual, you know, Congress people or something, because
military.
It was two congressmen or Congress people that had died. You remember in Minnesota they were killed, and they didn't do it for those two people. Now I'm not a fan of Democrats, but they were Congress people. Why wouldn't you do it for those two people, but you did it for Charlie Kirk? I did think that was.
But I would say this though, because, you know, I think because one of the reasons why this administration is doing all these things for him, you know, people say, oh, he was sacrificed. Oh, maybe he was, but what we know for sure, which is a fact, he got black and white, but majority white, but he got a lot of young people to go out and vote Republican on a local level and on a national level. That's influence, and that is some type of power. So you know, one of the reasons why I like holding these panels, and I know I always call them, Buggy, are you available? Are you available? And I know you guys not always available. It is to just get into the habit and the rhythm of Black media. It is very necessary, and not just leftist Black media or Democrat talking points Black media, but all types of Black media. And we really have to start educating our youth on history, public policies, and what the hell is going on. So it's going to be other Charlie Kirks coming up, and I respect that type of hustle, that type of less organization. That's one thing about white people. They get their ass up and they organize. They will sue you in a hot minute. Whether you white, Black, they don't give a fuck. They're going to sue you. They're going to make sure they get public policies, whatever. They're going to organize. So for anything, we need to definitely take a page out of that and start doing more organizing and follow through. So, but with that, thank you, Alisa. CK just wanted Black people to be in a nuclear family, but so do Black people. I don't like non-Black people, non-Black Americans, non-freedmen talking about Black Americans, freedmen, FBA. No, unless you are well versed in that, then we can have a dialogue. But non-Black should not talk about Black issues unless you know what you're talking about.
There's a big difference between my mama telling me I gotta go clean my room and a stranger that don't even live with me telling me I gotta clean my room.
Yes, so, great analogy.
Shit, if you ain't even FBA,
you gotta get ready. But
most of these groups, most of y'all, even if you ain't even FBA, you ain't qualified to talk about our stuff, because they put a microphone in front of a whole bunch of people that look like us, but they don't even know our story. They just look like us. So,
right.
Yeah, this thing is real goofy.
And thank you, Walter, for the Cash App. I really appreciate you. And then Yogi, thank you for the Cash App. That was from a while ago, and I never said thank you to Yogi. Thank you for the Cash App as well. And I thought it was somebody else that I missed. Cheryl Macy, thank you. Felicia, thank you. Okay. All right, guys, listen. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Devine. Thank you, George. I'm going to put their YouTube, social media handles, website in the description and in the community section. Go check them out. Go subscribe and support. Anything you guys want to say in closing?
Yeah, can I ask Kelly a quick question? I know she said something about her the show And like you said, I thank you for bringing us on this panel because I got a chance to break virtue bread with a conservative sister, and again because of what goes on in conservative circles, like she said, like you get a mixed bag, you don't know what you're gonna get, but I appreciate the way the sister stands on her conservative values, but also standing up for our people. And I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned the brother 2K that you do the show. Is that the 2K that be on a lot of the I think the dating and relationship shows?
Yeah, he's usually on with Anton Daniels, after
Yeah.
hours, talks with 2K. Yeah, we have a morning show. It's called DPMO morning show here on
Oh,
YouTube.
I
So
would
it's
love to,
him. Yeah,
just find that link and support. That dude is funny as hell. I love that dude.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll drop it, and you can come on and be a guest. We always looking for
Oh,
guests.
definitely.
So I'll definitely
That.
reach out.
So
Yeah,
let's chop it up.
thank you.
Oh, everybody is.
And thank you so much for having me,
Yeah.
Dana. I feel like me and Dana, I gotta give you props, Dana. I feel like we are probably in this space one of the few FBA that are actually pro-black.
Oh, really?
Like that's yeah, that's how I feel. Or
and
women, I would
noticed
say
that
women.
you were able to stream this on your channel.
Yes, you had it enabled, so I just
Oh, so
assumed that
that's
was
how you do it. Okay, yeah, now I don't have a problem with that because I know New Party. I added them on my account here, so if they're on their channel is attached to my restreams, and that's how I do it. And that's how I thought that I had to do it. So I was like, oh, how is she streaming? So then it must have been something that I did click. So okay, so that's good. So that's easy. Okay, fine. Because I was going to say, oh, next time you can share, but you already did it. So good. All right.
So I'll just say this.
Listen. Oh yeah, same with you, George, because you have a YouTube. You could have did it as well. So I'll just remind you next time.
Y'all can subscribe to me at Street Media TV. A lot of y'all in there already know who I am. Street Media TV, and then make sure you also go over to my Urban Nerds YouTube channel. Subscribe to my nonprofit Inner City for Inner City youth here in Philadelphia, Urban Nerds. Subscribe to that, and I'll just say to a lot of black folks, man, listen. You can be black conservative and be pro-black. Big Mama, nobody was more conservative than Big Mama and Grandma. Conservatism is not what you see over there kissing white folks' ass and doing all that kind of stuff and hiding behind some fake Jesus Christ. Because if Jesus Christ existed and came down here, he wouldn't be a damn Democrat or Republican. He would shun both groups. So stop behind all that foolishness. I have conservative values. I've been married to the same black woman for 25 years. I hold on to old values and my children and everything else. I don't go over there with white folks over there agreeing with all of these stupid talking points, but I'm still conservative. We were the conservative ones. They was the liberals. Stop falling for the okie doke. We were the conservatives. They was the ones following Hugh Hefner's and doing all the crate and all the liberal activities. They got you believing that you're a liberal and now they the conservatives. No. So you can have conservative values and be a hardcore pro-black and be it for your people. So again, I have black fatigue in my own community amongst my own group because I'm tired of a lot of our people too. Ain't got nothing to do with white folks. Ain't got nothing to do with white folks. So yeah, we can have that amongst ourselves. All right. So I just ended there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So thank you guys. And do me a favor. Everyone email me your organization banner and website so I could put it in my community. And then Kelly, your YouTube banner and link, and I could put that in my community as well. And I am going to put your information in the description. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys. Everybody that donated, love you the most. Everybody in X and YouTube and in the chat and my panel, great panel. And RIP again to Charlie Kirk. And we will be talking more and more about him. All right, guys. Have a good night.
May he rest in per capita.
Bye. Yeah, it's per capita. It's so funny. Right. Good night. Good night. Oh, do I have an outro? Wait a minute. Before I say my byes, honey, let me put my outro. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Bye.